Ahoy, friends. It's me, Dave Landau. After a long night on stage, I like to kick back with a captain's hat and a fine cigar and watch the Dennis and Andy show. These guys are huge nerds, but they're the kind that you actually want to hang out with. Enjoy them. I do.
Certified Badass.
Hello, everybody. It is Wednesday, and you know what that means. It means your two best friends are in your living room, office, coffee shop, wherever you're watching us. We're with you, hanging out. As always, the Dennis and Andy Show. I'm Andy.
I'm Dennis, and happy Wednesday. It's New Comic Book Day. Woohoo!
That's right. I bought one book today, and Dennis bought about 30.
Yeah, it was a pretty big independent day. So you all know I'm still getting no Marvel or DC, but boy, was it a big day for independent comics.
That's right. And of course, you saw the trailer for Kor-Drath, The Reckoning, launching on this Monday, September 12th on Indiegogo. If you haven't signed up, go sign up now. So when you sign up, and then you have to back the campaign, and if you do, you'll get this free limited edition Lilith trading card, but you only get it by signing up and backing the campaign. So go check that out. It launches Monday. The sign up is pinned to the top, and there's a link in the description below so you can check it out. And today we actually have a guest. I've known Mr. Drew Geraci, that is our guest, for over 20 years.
20 years?
I know, a long time.
Wow.
And I'm only 30 years old.
Yeah.
I met him when I was 10, and he's older than me. He was grooming me, Dennis. Weird.
Well, somebody has to.
Exactly. Exactly. And when I need something done, I call Drew because, as they like to say,
there was only one man for the job.
That's true.
And that's Drew Geraci.
Hey, hi everybody out there. And Andy and Dennis.
Welcome, Drew.
What's up, brother, man? Let's say hi to people. Randy Howell. Hello. Randy says, I received my books today from the First Man Closeout. You're very welcome. Thank you. And let's see. Bretsky the Great. Salute. Hello to you.
Yeah.
So there you go. So, So, Drew, happy to have you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate that.
Of course. Dennis always likes to start these interviews off with a specific question. Don't get embarrassed. It's a little sexual.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, well, it's Andy, so it has to be. There is no other way to start a conversation with him. But our guest, since you're the first time on our channel, a lot of people may know you. Hey, Prater. And but not everybody does. So we always like to find out when you're new, what's your origin story? How did you get involved into comic books?
You mean like way back when I was a child?
Way
Yes.
back when, like, do you remember your first comic book? How it got you into comics, and then how did you get involved into doing comics?
My first one was Captain America 145 with John Romita, Gil Kane art, and my dad was in the hospital, and I went down to those little stores, where you buy stuff, and they had like only that comic there, and it just blew me away. And what's funny is, I was wee little at the time, but my mom threw it away. She wasn't doing it out of spider thing. She just thought it was like a newspaper. You finish it and you kind of throw it away. So, and I was, about 2 years later, I saw another couple of comics, but really when I was 7, about 1974, I stayed at my grandparents' house for the whole summer, and I got like 6 comics and the first Treasury edition of Spider-Man. Now that makes you a fan for life, And I used to draw my own comics and write them. I think I did it right then, especially in the summer. Am I yelling too much?
No, you're good.
You're perfect.
Okay. But I remember anytime I could, I went on my out the screen porch. I would draw comics, listen to Elton John, and relentlessly. And but you know what? The only regret in my life is I tossed them because I was like 22-year-old, and I just had a real sour moment. Like, I'm never going to break into comics, or goodbye to the childhood dream and stuff like that. That's the only regret I have. Is now because you can't replicate them. What are you going to do?
Right.
Wow. So you tossed him? I can't, man.
Yeah, it was temperamental. I was in a relationship at the time that was incredibly unhealthy. And, I wasn't told to throw them away. I was just, in a bad place. So, yeah.
So you're talking about this one right here?
Yeah. Look at that.
Nice.
That's a good one. But wait. I don't think Gil drew did Gil draw the inside of that?
He did the first half, and then Romita did the whole complete second half. And,
okay. Because I love those. Oh, real quick, Big Raj, thank you for the $1.99 super sticker, brother. I really appreciate it. Dude, these few issues, like, I know you love John Romita's stuff. I love John Romita's stuff. Mm-hmm. Not only as a penciler do I love his stuff, and especially when he inked himself, but when he inked other people as well.
Oh, yeah.
And if I could have seen him do a longer run on anything, it would have been Captain America. Because those few issues he did were just phenomenal, I thought.
Like, it's his 91st birthday, I believe. I saw him on Facebook.
92?
It's like 90. I don't know, whichever. But anyway, like that Cap cover, even though Cap's standing there, his body's coiled, and it's like he's ready to explode. It's like that's that's what's amazing about it. It's like there's so much excitement in that body, even though Cap's stuck there for a moment. He's just like ready to. And at the end of the book, Sharon supposedly gets killed, and he's like, "You killed her," blah, blah. But for years, she came back because I got like issue 180 when he turned into the Nomad and stuff, and I saw Sharon. So, that's beautiful stuff.
That's cool. There was an issue. I have a spin rack as well. It's next to my desk, and there was an issue of Cap. He's not credited for doing the inking, but it's Sal Buscema pencils. It's John inked it. You can just tell.
Is that the one where there's a gap in the inking, like as far as the credits? I remember it's like it's a Sal Buscema penciler, and then somehow in production at the time they forgot to add who inked it. So
I mean that could be what it was.
Yeah.
I love it. The copy I have is actually coverless, and I just love it because it's it's Sal inked by John.
Yeah.
Speaking of Sal, did you ever see there was an issue of Power Man? So obviously it was before it became Power Man and Iron Fist.
Oh yeah.
And it was drawn by Sal, but it was inked by Neil Studio.
Yeah. I think it was the one. It was one with Piranha and with the thing. I mean, the other guy with the shotgun. He's a real small guy. I can't think of his name, but it just stuck in my head because Sal. Can you imagine? Sal filled in on pretty much everything, and it's almost like here's a script, a bunch of characters you never drawn before, and he's like, I got it. you know.
Right. And then Neil, like you can see the panels Neil inked, and it's just like, holy crap. I've got to see Neil ink John Buscema, and now I get to see him ink Sal. This is just awesome.
Yeah, Neil and the Krusty Bunkers, they inked Larry Hama, I think, on, there was a Black and White Bizarre Adventures that Marvel came out with, and it was a one with Unlikely Heroes or something, and it's awesome. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've got that too, yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.
So wasn't that the one where most of the people running around in that, or at least one of the guys, the main guy was just all in black? So he's basically a silhouette except for his face and his hands.
He was Asian, and he had it was very interesting to see somebody with a whole black suit like Havoc, because everybody had this blue with shading, you know, in the comics. Like the Black Panther was like the Blue Panther for a million years.
Yeah. Now you said he was Asian. Is that appropriate, or are we supposed to say Oriental? I can never remember.
I don't know.
This is not a PC channel, so it really doesn't matter, Andy.
I always get confused.
Yeah.
Randy House shooting us $3. Super sticker. Thank you very much, Randy.
Canadians, we have Canadians on the show, and I think you mentioned that.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, oh man, I'm still amazed. How many comics, when you say you got so frustrated you got rid of them, what are you talking about?
Oh gosh, the homemade comics. I did about 5 of like an Avengers, 5 of the, but I only did like 7 pages of each, and then plus a cover. And
I meant how many did you get rid of?
Oh shit!
When you went through that purge, I'm just curious. Like, are we talking a couple long boxes? What are we talking about?
No. You talking about my homemade comics?
No. When you said there in your early 20s, you were frustrated and you just dumped a lot of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I had a few long boxes, and I had my little checkoff list where and everything. But I sold my collection, 2 Ides actually, and because I needed the money, and it was it was just a dumb thing. But I pretty much got everything back that I wanted. There's also a bunch of runs that I don't want to get. You know, it's like I just kept them for collecting purposes. You know,
right?
So yeah, but. The only ones I had, what was it? It's so funny. I had the second printing of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and that was like $100, like back in '86, which is pretty amazing. Those guys, yeah. Oh, by the way, Kor-Drath looks friggin' amazing.
Oh, thank you.
I'm gonna check it out and buy it. And the logo is great. Did you do the logo also?
No. My buddy Steve Dutro, who I went to the Kubert school with, he does all my lettering.
I know that name.
And he's designed all the logos for everything I do, so he did.
Yeah, I saw when I saw the logo, I was like, that's impressive. But all the characters look amazing too.
Thank you.
So,
and this guy's actually writing it. So
really, okay, cool. Well, I saw your name first, Andy. So I guess you're collaborating writing.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So
yeah. So what led you? So you collected comics as a kid, and you were really into them and stuff. And what did you do? Like, did you stuff I might have known because we shared the studio for a while and talked to them. Did you go after high school? Did you go to college or anything? Or
I waited a whole year after I graduated because I wanted to make sure what I wanted to do, because so many people go into college and crash and burn in the first semester because they're partying and shit, because they're away from mom and dad. But But I'm not a college cat. I worked for my dad, and I went to the Art Institute of Pittsburgh for 2 years, so I have an associate's degree. And it's so funny. Most of the stuff I learned is outdated now, like hand lettering. But hand lettering, I learned kerning, where you get the logo, because there's a Mexican restaurant down the street, and the name is Monterey, and the logo drives me nuts because it's like M, and it's like M Monterey. I just want to put those letters together. So.
I know what you mean.
And we had a life drawing class, where nudes would come in, and I remember this one guy came in, and it's like a few minutes into it, he turned green. He was sweating, and he fell. It's like me and my friend Scott had to catch this naked guy because it turned out he had the flu or something like that. But we only had one really good model who could freeze a position for 10 minutes, like stuff like that in the legs. askew, but a lot of the other ones were awful. They would move like this, and we'd yell at them, and they'd yell back.
Right.
So, but that was my favorite. And I learned a lot. Perspective.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, it's all outmoded now. You can just print something out, or do it on the computer.
Sure.
But, yeah. But I learned like color theory and stuff like that, which a lot of colors could use. It's like I've said before that there's a lot of colors that know the software, but they have no idea what color theory is.
Well, and that's what the problem is. You can see, you can see stuff when computer coloring first started, especially where it's like, yeah, you learned how to use the program, but you don't know color theory and all that. And there's still lots of people, well, not lots, but there's a handful like that out there. Then there's the really good colorists.
Sure.
That we know. And luckily we had a bunch of them at CrossGen who knew both, color theory and how to use the program.
Oh yeah. Just amazing stuff. So, man, I missed
after you graduated, what happened?
I did a lot of freelance jobs for about a year or two, and it was just real nickel and dime stuff. My parents knew an old friend, Karen Danzelli, who did. She would do like magnets and stuff like that for stores, like local stuff, and so I would help design stuff and whatever. And I didn't really get paid that much, but and then 1988. Oh no, I'm sorry. Then I got hired for this in-house graphics department that was for a toxic waste disposal company.
Really?
So, but then the crash of '87 just killed the stock. It went like from 28 to like $1, and everybody got laid off. And I was unemployed for about 6 months. I collected unemployment, and there were no jobs in Pittsburgh for my skill set. It was all very. I looked at the want ads, and there really wasn't anything there. And I had two of my oldest friends say, you might have to move where there's actual work. And I moved to Maryland, and I worked for A&P. I don't even know if they still use that name anymore, but that was the old,
I know. What part of Maryland did you move to?
Near Beltsville, where Frank Cho was.
Shit. I grew up in Beltsville, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about that? Yeah, I did live in Beltsville, actually.
Gaithersburg, I think, is up there.
Oh yeah.
That's cool. You were there. What year was that, you think?
That was late 1988, like the last few months.
Oh, I was up at the Kubert School at that point.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But it was neat, though. I mean, like moving away is such an open. It just opens you up a little more to different, experiences and stuff. I think everybody should move away for a while just to get that feel.
I know. I'm trying to convince my daughter, who's 19, to get the hell out, but she won't do it.
Yeah. But
the locksmith won't fix.
I'm like Dennis will take you. He lives a few miles away. Just go live there.
Yeah.
He's got room.
Oh man, that's funny. But and I worked there for 3 years, and then they promoted me, and they were really pushing me to come down to Georgia because I guess I did everything I could do. I actually doubled my income when I worked there for 2.5 years. And I went, like, at the time it was a big deal. It was like $12,000 to $24,000, $1990. That was pretty decent. And then they kept pressing me to move to Georgia. I didn't want to because I made so many friends there, and they were hardworking. I loved it. It wasn't like today. I mean, there was like 40 of us, and we all had the same agenda to do the best work. And it was really, really a great experience, And but I moved down to Georgia, and I met my wife, a couple, months later. She was working accounts receivable, and I was the ad director for all these. You get those so hard because circulars that says, this is our special and everything. I had to make sure the prices were updated. Some of the merchandisers were like, dick around, because I was 27. I was like the youngest, person in authority there. So they didn't have me run around. And this one dickhead, I can't think of his name, he was on the phone talking about fly fishing with somebody else for like a good 10 minutes. And even though I was there, I just needed a price on one thing so I could get the circular out. And then I realized, I was like, I've had it, because I was getting to be an insomniac. I would drink a few beers, cheese and crackers, watch Mystery Science Theater on VHS every night. Then I'd wake up about 3 a.m, worrying because I burn the alcohol off or something, because I had to get there 6 o'clock, get it all prepared for the assistants, and it was killing me. And and I was like, I'm getting further and further from artwork. So I quit. I took a minimum wage job for a couple years and worked on my portfolio. It freed me up. So and then I worked for Dave Johnson. I met him. He was a Dragon Con 1994, and he had a assistant before that, and I don't remember who he was. He was an inker that he did some Malibu stuff, but he was one of those people that kind of fell off the face of the earth because maybe he couldn't hack it or something. And so he talked to me, and he said something like, well, I'll send you some samples. It was from Chain Gang War. That really cool series, and with the one that Andrew Robinson helped out on as well. Yeah. And the job I had before, working on the printing and stuff like that, it gave me a real steady hand. So it was surprisingly easy for me to pick up, and do the brush stuff. And then he called me on a Friday or something like that, left a message saying, well, you can work with. And I was like this, this Catholic schoolgirl with a crush, so happy, and then, but he was an hour and a half north of me, and he was in the sticks. He had, I shouldn't say this, but he did very well on Super Patriot, the first miniseries. That's such
I know.
Book. Yeah. And the thing is, they got a house up in the sticks, and then he was kind of bummed out because I was inking him on Super Patriot Liberty Justice, the second one. The royalties were dead. He was like, I just got to pay a page rate for that. And then I was moving on. He connected me with Brian Gustin, who it was with Justice League America, right before they revamped it. And anyway, and Dexter Vines came on and assisted him.
Okay.
Dex is a great guy, and he's fantastic. And all through the 1990s, it was funny. If I had turned down a job, Dex would get it. If he turned out a job, I would get it. It's because we had similar styles, but it's just kind of funny. So, and then, I started Justice League America with Chuck Wojciech and Gerard Jones, who spent some time in jail for child porn.
Is he still in jail?
I don't know, but he was there for a while.
I thought he was. Oh, he wrote the Green Lantern job that I did way back.
I know, and I love this stuff in the past. It was just weird. I'm like, well, that'll never get reprinted, I don't think. So
I know, right?
Yeah. But it was pretty cool. I mean, Allison Morales is the one I dealt with most of the time, and she's a sweetheart. And if she was still an editor, I think comics would run a little better.
Yeah, well.
But I took to it pretty quick. And it was great. Oh, I sent samples. On a Thursday, I sent it FedEx, back when FedEx was affordable, to Brian Augusta, and he called me up and said, hey, you'll get pages Monday. So I got pages Monday. And
oh, awesome.
Yeah. So
that was over Chuck?
Chuck Wojciech, yeah.
Yeah.
So, there was he wanted me to switch to a quill, and I wasn't ready for a quill, and it looked like shit. I mean, because I was used to the brush, because that's what Dave would show me, and so we were kind of having a contention there. So what happened is Alice Morales, she said, well, we'll put you on the Ray, over Jason Armstrong. And I thought that was really great that she, thought of me, even because Chuck wanted somebody else. And, she just picked up and gave it to me. So, I like those days.
Yeah, Randy says, what the F? Jones did that? Yes, he did. It was, it was 4 or 5 years ago. I think I remember reading about it. As far as I know, I'm pretty sure he's still locked up. I mean, I could be wrong.
Yeah. But
there was another guy too that I thought got locked up in the past few years.
Justiano guy, about 10 years ago. Remember him? He was an artist who. I
was thinking of somebody else too. Yeah, Justiano did too, though, right?
Yeah, and he was good.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Well, you remember? Do you remember a guy named? This was early 90s, so it might have been before you broke in. Mm-hmm. Do you remember a guy named Jan Harps?
No.
I believe, and I could be wrong on this,
Yeah.
but I believe.
Say allegedly. Say allegedly. That covers your ass.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Well, no, I believe he assisted Rubenstein.
Oh, okay.
And then, he went off on his own, but he basically got busted for, crap like that as well. So.
Yeah. I think Jeff Johnson knows somebody, and we'll speak of that later because I don't want to make random accusatory comments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I wanted to see, because I'm really not sure about the name that came to mind.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say it, but when we're done with this off stream, I'll mention it.
Okay.
Because you'll know who I'm talking about. But once again, I don't want to allege something without knowing. Like, if I said Dennis did blah, blah, blah.
Then they would know it's false.
They would know it's true.
Yeah. But, there's
a reason he's not allowed to go by schools. I'll just leave it.
So,
that's because he's always packing these guns.
Well, and also when you hear the bell of the Good Humor truck coming by, it's like, ooh, right. So, oh man, right. I'm evil.
There was an Australian comic artist from the 50s that kidnapped and raped. Holy crap! That I never heard of. But then again, it's Australia, so who knows?
Yeah.
And then he drew a book about it.
Ah, really? You put me on.
Should have.
Yeah.
What would you say was, if you had to pick one favorite? Well, actually, let's keep going. So you were at DC really until
CrossGen.
CrossGen, between when you broke in and CrossGen, did you ever do anything for Marvel, or were you all DC?
Well, at the time, I wanted to work for Marvel all my life, but DC was so good to me. They kept feeding me, and once in a while, I did a few things with Dusty Abel. Cover. But they had like an attitude like, well, fuck you, we're Marvel, So, but DC was just, they were so, good. And I remember doing like 10-page stories from like the 80-page Giants, or doing the Secret File stuff. It was so great for freelancers. Like if you're waiting on pencils, and I get to ink a lot of people that I didn't think I'd be able to ink because of that. It was very freelancer friendly.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. But and then 96. I did a bunch of small books that were ready to be canceled, like everybody in the industry. I'm not going to put you on Batman right away. But what happened was, I remember it was pages that Dusty Abel had done, and I'd seen the faxes from them that Dave had, and it was like years ago. And then finally, it was complete, and Mike Carlin called me. Because Dusty was basing, what was it? Oh, I gotta get it's right up here. Give me a second.
Yeah, go ahead. That's a cool shirt, by the way.
Oh, this is what Dusty saw, and he recommended me based on this Dave Johnson cover, and that I inked. So Mike Carlin called me, and I had to do. It was a phenomenal amount of work. It was like 2 pages a day for the whole summer of '96, and so I did it. And I kind of made my bones there, and then I had push away jobs. It was great. So
what book was that? Do you remember?
It's one that came out. The first issue came out the same day as the wedding issue of Superman. So I was expecting royalties, but it was a 4-issue Elseworlds, which added up, 48 pages each, 200, plus.
It was that square-bound thing with Superman and Wonder Woman, right?
Yeah, and Chris Claremont. It's called Superman. It's really cumbersome. Superman, Wonder Woman, Elseworlds, Whom Gods Destroy. But it didn't sell. Nobody. It just, me and Dusty were kind of disappointed, and I'm sure Chris was too. But I was neat to see my name next to Chris Claremont. So
dude, I didn't even know he wrote that.
Yeah. It's okay. It goes on a little long. It's something that could have been 2 books.
Right.
And what was it? I can't remember what it was. Anyway, but it was like I spent the Olympics were here in '96, and I was doing 2 pages a day. I was shut in. Karen managed to get some tickets to go. But here's the thing about the Olympics: those fuckers, those cocksuckers. You know what they do? if you lived in Georgia, you couldn't get tickets. I mean, what they did is they made tickets available for people out of state so they can kind of get all the tourist money.
Oh, right.
And it's like, that's ridiculous. And then there was a place called, a really good pizza place called Olympic Pizza, and they made them change the fucking sign, because I don't know what it was. It was so petty. And so they did Olympic Pizza, and it's like, that shit costs thousands of bucks. And it's like,
Oh, yeah.
The Olympics people are just, they're just, they're like, oh, come on and enjoy our show, commoners. And but yeah, so here's the thing: if the Olympics ever come to your town, don't buy them. Have a friend buy them out of state, then you'll get your. So Karen went to a couple small events, or there's a couple swimming events down the road, but she went with her co-workers while still working. But so I was a shut-in, but it paid off. So
I want to say that's the Olympics that Kurt Angle, the wrestler, won at before, and then from there, that's how he made his name and went to the WWF.
Really. I can't.
Yeah,
I'm not familiar
with around '96 when he was in college, and he graduated and he went to the Olympics and won the gold medal with a broken neck and all that stuff, and then was able to go on from there to the WWF. So
wow, that's amazing. Well, yeah.
And of course, you had was it Richard Jewell?
They tried to pin it on him.
Alleged. Well, he didn't do it, so you don't even have to say that.
But they dragged him through the dirt, and he did get a lawsuit finally. But it's like, that's just a horrible thing, to be falsely accused, and the world will hate you. And then it's like you finally get validate, or but you're going to be like a footnote now the rest of your life that you don't want. So anyway,
isn't he?
Huh?
I think he's dead.
I don't know, but another thing is Greg Louganis.
It could look.
Yep. Too bad there isn't somebody that has that.
Wow. See how lazy my cohort is? He's got a computer right
the problem is if I don't look it up, he'll be thinking about this the entire show. When we go to supper at night, we'll be sitting there like, did you get an answer yet? This is all he'll be thinking about. So I'll look it up while you guys talk.
Hey, Drew, I got a question for you since he brought it up. What do you call, you have breakfast, you have lunch, and then you have what?
You mean like for dinner?
Yes. You have dinner.
Okay. Well,
So in other words,
no, you're leading him.
You're leading the witness.
Correct. He always does this. What do you call your final meal of the night?
Oh, okay. You mean after dinner, or occasionally I will have a small bowl of cereal to tide me over. If I'm working real late. I don't know. It's like me and Karen cook a lot. So she does most of the cooking, and I can. It's a little of everything, So
what you call it dinner is what I'm hearing.
What you mean?
You never once growing up said, "What's for supper, Mom?"
Oh, it was supper. Yeah.
Oh, God. You're ruining everything now.
No. You tried to lead the witness, and then you come back and said, Andy, none of that. It's supper.
Yeah. And, there was a lot of Pittsburghese phrases, and you'll see them on like these bootleg shirts, like, jeet, which means did you eat? But it'd be like jeet, starting off like that. And, there's a lot of wacky, terms. They call rubber bands gum bands. I was saying that for the longest time. So,
well, wait. Growing up, did you call your mom or mother?
Mom. But my grandparents were mum and pup, and I call my dad.
See, mine was Ma, and she hates it to this day. So because my mother hated it so much, I kept saying, "Hey Ma," and she kept going. All she could think of was Ma and Pa kettle. So those of you that are older would remember that, and she hated that. So of course, because she hated it, Ma. So I would her birthday cards, it would say Ma.
Oh, that's funny.
My dad was always mad.
Oh
she
my
hates
gosh!
That. I know.
Yeah. But no, I didn't have any secret or nicknames. But yep.
So who would you say was one of your favorite guy to ink?
Oh man, well Jason Armstrong I like because he he let me do a liberal amount of translating to his stuff, and that was fun early on because he was kind of like the Gaijin Studio light, like he had that, and he had that style, like that Stelfreeze invented, which I think he got off of Patrick Nagel, maybe, I don't know, but
he didn't live down there, did he?
No, he's up in Canada. So yeah, I went up there me and Karen spent a week with them and their kids for the Fan Expo back in 2008, and so cool. It was so cool. And well, I'm trying to think. I gotta really think back. Well, I mean, Howard Porter was fun, and I got to play around with his stuff because his stuff was really angular, and he's such a humble guy, because the stuff he's doing for DC now is phenomenal. And we're still pals. We haven't worked together in 20 years. And he told me that editor told him he's the only guy our age that's working at DC right now. And it's just horrible because we know so many people.
I think the only other person that I can think of off the top of my head is Doug Monkey.
Right.
I mean, now Doug's not on a regular thing. He's doing a Swamp Thing Black Label book.
Yeah.
But he's working for DC, but Doug is, Doug's
our age. Yeah.
Yeah, he's around our age. He's older.
Yeah. But when he told me that, I was just like, man, I like Paul Pelletier. Why isn't he on something?
Well, I think Scott Collins is still doing stuff for DC, isn't he?
Yeah, very much so.
But there's just a few. Yeah, I don't know what. Well, like Scott Eaton is doing stuff for DC here and there.
I loved inking him too. That was great fun. Yeah. And I'm trying to think of what else. We got to do a 4-issue Captain America with Robert Kirkman before he became Robert Kirkman. That was fun because he threw in like the Serpent Squad, Batroc, all those.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Didn't Dave do the covers to those?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because when I was doing the Ray, that towards the end he did like the last 2 covers. It was just kind of weird how we, not even intentional. It's just coincident. So. But and I like Ink and Dusty also because he, I don't know, like I said, he was getting into that Gaijin Studio style as well. So that's just what I, tuned into, and it's like he was one of those pencilers that never complained, didn't get, I mean, there's so much petty shit. I was inking Pat, the guy who did Green Lantern, then he ended up doing Batman and Robin, Pat something, Gleason.
Oh, Gleason, Patrick Gleason.
I inked him on a bunch of Green Lantern Corps issues, but what happened was he went through a bunch of inkers because Prentice Rollins, he just got rid of him, and before that was somebody else. And I've done some pages filling in with Tom Ewan, our friend. And anyway, so I inked stuff, and I remember, did some covers, and I did a bunch of, full issues. And there was one friggin' panel with Mongol or Mogul, whoever that guy is. And in the foreground, I made the contours a little thick, but I did have a little give and stuff like that. And he gave me shit for it. And we had this sort of, I like to say gentlemanly debate, but he just had to fit over that one panel. He replaced me, with Rebecca Buckman, who I met. She's real sweet, and but she didn't stay with the inking very long. She raises like police dogs and stuff like that. She's very much like a country girl or something, but she's a great inker.
She, if I remember right, she ride motorcycles.
Yeah.
That's her.
Yeah, she was cool. She got a little. She had like very other stuff besides comics. Didn't break her heart. When the book ended or something, but it just killed me. I got fired over one panel, and Eddie Braganza, before he got in trouble with whatever happened, he got me issues of Flash right away over, oh gosh, I gotta think. He's a guy who I gotta think of it. There's a Carlos Barbieri. Barbieri. Yeah. And then we did a year on Gen 13. Gail Simone wrote them, and I inked. And what I loved is he allowed me to interpret it. There was a guy with dreadlocks, and he sort of just drew it. I did some dry brush stuff on the dreadlocks. It's like he never complained. There was another issue where some kid, one of the members, remembered abuse that they had as a child, and there was a down shot where it had like a hardwood floor, and he just drew it in there, and I did some I did shadows on it and made it look like wood. It's like he didn't complain, but he did. He's one of those guys who started inking himself or scanning his pencils. But that was terrific fun. Now that you brought it up,
Carlos has been drawing Spawn for I think like a year now.
Really, yeah, he's mega talented. He's awesome.
Yeah, his stuff's really nice. I've always liked his stuff.
Yeah.
So how does Drew Dracy transition from drawing funny or inking, working in funny books to what, I'm going to write some novels now?
Well, what's funny is our mutual friend Chuck Dixon.
Yep.
I had sent him a 22-page comic book, and it's something I always wanted to do, but when in the third act, the main character becomes a superhero, and Chuck's it was a rock band oriented comic because that's always been my enthusiasm since I was a wee little, minutia and all kinds of shit. I remember. Okay, excuse me. I did this comic. I sent a copy of it to Chuck, and he said, "You know what? When the superhero came along, I really lost interest." He says, "But I like the band." And then I put that aside. I was going to do more, but then 2008 we had the recession before the one we had now, and I was like, I'm not going to take a chance on self-publishing. I'll just keep inking, So, but I had it brewing for a long time. And then Chuck started publishing his own novels before on Amazon, and he told me how to do it. And I had these ideas brewing because of when we were in Florida. I went to the UPS store a lot to make copies, because that's all we had back then, no JPEGs. And there were JPEGs, but So there was a girl there, and her name was Elaine, but she went by Lainey. And, we just got to talking, and she was like 23 or something like that. And then I love the name Lainey for short, and I decided to do a rock band where she's kind of like this tomboy. And, she grew up admiring, in love with, Jack White and stuff like that. Yeah. And all her friends were into boy bands and shit like that. So she liked discordant, dark stuff. And what was it? Oh, anyway, the main character in my comic was the manager, Mitch Slater. And so I just had these ideas sitting there, but I was too busy with comics. And then what happened is I was waiting on Secret Six. I was doing issue number 1. Ken Lashley was going to Mexico for a convention. So he only did he only inked it. It was great stuff. The first third he inked. And then the second and third I was given. And what I loved about it is he was doing gray washes and stuff like that. So I went and got a whole bunch of those gray pens, and I banged them out. That was so much fun. But I don't think Gail Simone, Mark Doyle, somebody else, Humphreys, they all said, "Welcome to Team Secret Six. You're the regular guy." And I never heard from Ken. And then I waited 3 weeks for pages, and then I was like, "Fuck!" I just started writing, because I'd spoken to people who said it was very therapeutic, and so I did, and I just started flowing, and I wanted to add to it that it's in Pittsburgh, of course, and the Demands, which I just happen to have copies of.
And if anybody's interested, there's a link in the description below that'll take you to Drew's site. So
yeah.
I'll give you full screen. You can put them up.
These. Okay. These covers were photographs I took, random ones. And my friend Gary Sella did this cover, and he's amazing. I did the layout, but he's just a master of it. And he helps me format that too. Look at me.
That's cool.
Okay. Yeah. And then I actually posted on the what do you call the power wires outside, with the big, and I stapled it. I made it like those things in college where you rip off the numbers at the bottom and that, and then I stapled it, and so I love doing getting found stuff, and making art out of it, when I can. But it's so anyway. I wanted to give it a different edge where they played a bunch of clubs that were owned by the Russian mob. And then they get entangled because the Russian mob owns a lot of bars and clubs. And there's the occasion where the lead singer, who's just a real, he's a lead singer. He gets in trouble with, he's ready to fight, this one guy, and then there's a matter of times where they cross over, and these guys really they don't know what the fuck they're in for, like they may not know it's guys from the Russian mob, and this one guy. Anyway, the 3 weeks I'm waiting, and I started writing because I had this germ of an idea, and it was amazing how easy it was for me to do, because I'd always wanted to write, and I always was writing growing up. And one thing I did was I was pretty good with, I still am, with how to get a point across like better. Like I've helped friends with LinkedIn accounts. Remember LinkedIn?
Oh yeah,
totally useless site. And
hey, Dennis loves LinkedIn. It's his main social network. Come on now.
You're kidding me.
That's how I found Andy.
That and MySpace.
I got like 30 recommendations from like everybody I worked with, and never got contacted. But anyway, I also help people with their resumes, and it goes back a ways. I had a friend who worked at Chuck E. Cheese, which I cannot think of a greater hell on earth than working at Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh my God, Chuck E.
Cheese. Yeah. And the thing is, he would help there, and somebody came to him and he said, you got a problem? He wanted to help. I told him, what? That sounds a little confrontational. You should say, can I help you? He was like, yeah. It's really dumb. Like I could be. I was good at composition class in high school, and I wish to God I kept the final, because I had to do three sentence. The question was, what is honor? And I had to do we had to do 3 sentences on it, and I got like an A+. But before that, I was so steeped in Stan Lee, I would do that flowery bullshit, and I would do like redundant things, those big, alliterative words and shit. Yeah. And I was just like over the top with it, with the Stan Lee-ism. But at the very end, when I did that 3-paragraph, I just had to think of the right words. I got A+, and the guy says, "Thank you for cutting through all the bullshit." I couldn't write that now, but but I mean, I've always wanted to do comics. I did this when I found out Jim Shooter wrote at 13. I grabbed. My parents had this old typewriter. It wrote in cursive. It wasn't regular print. And so I wrote myself and Marvel came out with those. They wrote novels in the late 70s that had those Bob Larkin and Dave Cockrum painted covers. Those are great. So that was shooting. So I started typing. I did this whole story, which I threw away like a dumbass with everything else. But it was an Avenger story, and it wrote to Russia only because I loved Crimson Dynamo and Titanium Man. Oh. And so I had like Crimson Dynamo with like these Dynamo cores, and I gave them like the albino Dynamo who was yellow. I mean, he was white. And he picks up Hawkeye, and when he says his name, Hawkeye starts laughing, So because the team at the time was great with Wonder Man and Vision and all that stuff. I mean, that was just like the best, And so I mean, but I wrote the whole thing. It's like all these little things. It's like I could do this, I didn't know, and I was like, just like inking. When I started off and doing samples, and then Dave gave me like a finished page to ink. And I'm just like, when you get a live page for the first time. So going back to writing, I just always liked it, and I decided to do the Russian mob. I mean, it's funny. My uncles and aunts and my mom, they kind of laugh because there really isn't a Russian mob, but it's like they have old stories of being in the mob. Like my one grandmother, she ran numbers, and there's like a lot of stories of like, this fell off the truck, that kind of shit. And I got a long Italian family, I could say Dagos. I put that in the latest book. I could get away with that. And but anyway, I really enjoyed doing it, but I had to do a lot of homework because my editor, Chuck's editor at the time, she says, "I'm not convinced about this. Just get rid of the Russian characters or the Russian mob." And I'm like, "But that's the twist." So she beat me up, and she's great, because this third book that I'm really hawking, it's so friggin' good. I spent several years on it, and it's airtight. Like the first two, I'm going to do like a little update, expanded version. But I mean, this one I could look at, read from cover to cover, and say this is solid. Cool. So it's a matter of practice. And
did you work with the same editor on that third one?
Yeah, Jay Manis. Yeah, and
okay.
She did Chuck's books while he was doing Amazon, but then he actually had publishers pick up the Leave On series and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And but I mean, he told me about it. He actually, like I said, back in 2008, he encouraged me because when I did the comic, he just said, "I want to hear more about that band." And speaking of which, everybody raise a cup. Growing up, let me see. Oh, there goes everything.
I was going to say, I heard
but
that.
I love this kind of stuff. Like back when Rolling Stone was good, and before it became like Pravda. But like in this article here, it talks about when John Lennon did that bunch of covers for it was called Rock and Roll, came out in 1974. The last thing he did, and it was all covers. It turns out they were going to sue him for Come Together because it was like a Chuck Berry riff that they, but it really wasn't. But it was like just like George Harrison, was sued because he's so fine and do like, and they were like his My Sweet Lord, which is just they just go with for money. But it's like reading that like excited me. It's like he didn't do it just out of love. It's like he did it because they made him do it. And also the labels had. It was one label had all their artists that he would do the songs, and it's just funny because like in the movie Imagine, other place you're like, oh, he did it out of love. It's like no.
What are because speaking of music, what are some of your favorite bands from growing up?
Well, it was like Elton John, and I played him relentlessly. Like the first 5 years, the good stuff, and I'm trying to think of who else.
God, I was never really a big Elton John guy.
Oh, really? Yeah. It was mostly him.
Geraci.
Hey, I like every manner of it, and I don't have a problem admitting it.
That's right. That's right. But I'm trying to think of who else. And then I didn't discover the Beatles for a while, because at the time it was like early 70s.
See, I'm just not a Beatles guy. I don't.
Yeah.
Now a friend of ours, Todd Root, loved the Beatles.
Yeah.
Stops and be like, the Beatles suck. I don't think they suck, but I just don't care.
Well, I was big on them, but I'm not,
Elvis, but I'm not a huge, fan of any of that. I'm always was more hard rock, metal.
Yeah.
AC/DC was from that time frame.
Well, I mean, also, I got the Black Sabbath with my old introduced me to that shit. I was just like, yeah, that was great.
Did you see Ozzy Osbourne said he's moving back to Europe because this country's such a mess?
Oh, good Lord.
He did.
It's been good to him,
And I just cleaned it up because he didn't quite say it that nice.
Johnny Lydon / Rotten, he loves this country. It's like he should straighten out Ozzy. So but I like stuff like that. I'm trying to think of what else. But I mean, at the time,
were you a concert guy? Did you go to concerts and stuff?
Yeah, my first concert was Frank Zappa, of all things.
Really?
I had a friend in high school named Jim Lunt, and we would talk about bands and stuff like that. Like the Who, also that kind of stuff. But but anyway, he was sort of my musical guru. And he's like, let's go, let's see Frank Zappa. And then, 82, we saw the Kinks, we saw the Clash, and so many others like through the years. I got to see the Police on their last two tours before Ghost in the Machine and Synchronicity, and they fucking blew it away. I mean, it was just amazing. And I'm trying to think of some others. Yeah, I mean, I did Stray Cats. Brian Setzer. I mean, he's just like, he plays like lightning. It's like nobody's business. And then,
plus, you got to see a fight, I'm sure, because I mean, the Stray Cats got into a fight almost every show. Yes.
Yeah. But I'm trying to think of what else. There was a lot of and then when the 80s came, the new wave stuff, all that. It was like a second British invasion. You had the Thompson Twins. You had modern English and all that stuff like that. I just ate that up. And also I was graduating from high school. I had a girlfriend at the time. It was just like blissful because it was like right in that summer, it was like I was free of my 12-year prison sentence.
Yeah.
You know, I really felt that way. I couldn't wait to get the fuck out of school, you know. And it was so, going back to school, I mean, I had some really good teachers, but most of them, this is how they went. Like, if they would read the syllabus in like this drone, like then the syllabus, you know, for those who they still have it, that had all the, you know, information, the right answers on it. And I just remember like I'd fall asleep sometimes because they'd be like, and then. But I had a bunch of like fairly really engaging, you know, teachers. Like I had to stay after class a few times, and I got like a one-on-one conversation. It really got me, you know, primed and helped with that kind of stuff. But anyway, but I couldn't wait to get out of it. Otherwise, it was just, you know, because you're just frozen with, I'm not saying with the rules, but it was just like, you know, you just have a shorthand exposure to life, I guess. I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah, it was like, you know, I just got really bold the last year of high school because I'm like, yeah, I'm not here.
So, what was your what's a favorite cross-gen memory? Do you have one?
Yeah. Well, one of them was funny. Well, there were so many funny stories. So, geez, Pete, you know, I should say Jesus Christ. I don't know why I'm not cursing. Oh man, I'm trying to think. Well, you know what? It's just that John Dell, you know, another inker that we know and love, he said every day was like a comic book convention. You know, you get to see all these people you admire and stuff like that. So I'm trying to think. We had a lot of good times, you know. Remember we did karaoke and early on in CrossGen and at this bar, and you did Who Let the Dogs Out?
I did, Dennis. Dennis has heard the pipes. He knows.
Yeah, and
I've heard the pipes. I've heard the pipes not hit a single proper note in the entire song.
And I would say
singing Ozzy.
Everybody's a critic.
Yeah, and I just got this thing where I would sing like just songs by, you know, African Americans / blacks, where I did like what was it? Come on, baby, let's do the twist. You know, I remember having so much fun with it, and people were like, "Where did that come out of him?" So I guess I had a little soul in me. I don't know, yeah. So that was good times. I'm trying to think of the funniest thing. Oh. Well, this isn't funny, but it's a fun story. Way of the Rat, you know, Jeff Johnson and Czech, which was just the best. And anyway, issue 5 was a fill-in by Ron Wagner, and he's great, but I'm sorry, he wasn't on model. And there were so many things like the main character, Poe, and then the monkey. What happened was, I was inking that. I loved it. You know, it was after I left Greg Land and his, you know, light boxing everything, and I'm having to ink the fucking same panels over. Like
Jeffrey draw some of that stuff in Way of the Rat, that issue.
Well, it was funny. We were told he was. I don't want to say he was a little behind, but he was kind of pressed to not worry about it, and I'm like, this doesn't look good. He agreed, so I would sneak pages to him, and he would erase the faces and get them more on model. And it was like little shit that I guess, you know, it's all new characters. So I guess Ron, maybe he had a bang an eye or so, but he had the whole time like a strap in a bag, and half the panels didn't have that. So Jeff would draw them in and I'd ink them, but we had to sneak it, you know. And I remember I'm trying to think. We had some crazy times. So, but yeah, it's just, I can't even think of one. The only thing I didn't like is, you know, I mean, Mark Leslie, I ran hot and cold with him, but, you know, God bless him. You know, it was fun. I got to make a lot of friends in the industry that I didn't know. But I remember he would drag us into the break room. Instead of taking 2 people aside, you know, like a guy named Tony that we know who's useless. Instead of that, he believed in dragging everybody into the break room and yelling at everybody. That's like just people aside that aren't, you know, pulling their weight.
His managerial style was, I know it was just this one guy, but I'm going to drag everybody in. Make a point to this one guy. And he'll know it's him. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, seriously, dude, you're wasting all our time. Just pull him into your office and have a chat with him. We all don't need to be here.
Yeah, he just kind of, like, and also a lot of them were friends of his from before, and it's like,
Oh yeah.
if you hire your friends sometime, that's not good. I mean, just, oh man, that's like, what's it, Brandon? Who's the guy? Was it Brandon Choi who like wrote the early?
Oh yeah,
Image comics? It's like, I mean, he's like the luckiest guy in comics, just because he was pals with Jim. It's a bit, nobody else is.
What, didn't they grow up together or something?
Yeah. But I mean, I have like a best friend in Pittsburgh, and it's like I don't know if I'd hire him, because he doesn't have the skill set, and he never really got involved and with that kind of stuff, So there comes a point, but and all my friends, like, none of them are envious. That's what's cool. They kind of, when they moved away from comics, they knew I just wanted it more than anybody, and so I've been very blessed to have some good friends growing up, and they were encouraging and stuff, but they wouldn't bullshit me too. They thought like, that's okay.
So is your mom still in the same house that you grew up in, or?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, I mean, yeah. Back, she's 87, and the house is like from 55 or so.
Yeah.
And so my dad, what was it? He lived in Homewood Brushton when it was mostly Italians, and my mom, she grew up in Sharpsburg, which is like the backdrop for this place, and for these books. And what's weird is Sharpsburg's one of those small towns that's kind of gutted. It's like the main street doesn't have any stores, and it's also kind of, a problem. I'll say problematic. It's there's more crime there and stuff like that. So my main character, Lady Kilburn, she goes there, and only because there's this great statue there of this Indian guy called Gayasuda, and there's a whole story about it. And in the book, I had her come by it, and she was like, it was almost like a message to her, like, check this out. She didn't have a particular destination when she moved from Maryland to Pittsburgh. I just flipped the script on my life, and then I just decided, she was like dead broke, so she gets an apartment like above a bar, and it pays, like, she has to pay $300 a month, and it's small. But she was like so happy to get her own place, and but I love the idea. You know what? My cousin brought this up. That I guess in the back of my mind, I was thinking, remember growing up with Luke Cage, Power Man. Remember he lived in this, he had this apartment right above the theater that his pal had, and it's like I always thought that was cool, like to be like in a little loft up above that kind of stuff.
Above some type of shop or store. I always thought that was cool.
Yeah. So, it's funny he brought that up like years later, and I was like, I guess that's where I got that. I'd love it when Cage would be like crossing his leg up on the table and listen to people's problems, and he'd be like, I don't want to bother, but then he'd get all pissed off about something.
My old comic shop was that way. It was the shop down below, and they lived right up above it. So you'd walk in the steps up the back, and I'm like, wow, that's nice, cool. Easy work.
Yeah. That's also I wanted to have her at a bar, because there in Pittsburgh there are more bars per capita than any other state.
Really?
Yeah. I think there's one that's almost tied to it, but
Wisconsin.
What's that?
It's Wisconsin.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. But I mean, there's a lot. There's just a lot of them. So I just decided, well, she starts out and then she meets. She watches a lot of shows and gets small little tiny shows, like with maybe 5 people or 20, and it's like she's trying to get the flavor of the local area, and she's learning from people. She asks questions and stuff like that, and some of them are helpful, and some of them want to get her pants, but she can sense that kind of shit. Yeah. So I just kind of made her a tomboy, and I gave her my sensibility, because I am such a snob about music. In '83 or so, I remember, or even before, there was a college station in Pittsburgh from from I don't know, Penn or something, university, and I could only get it at night, and I would hear bands you wouldn't hear for years, like XTC, Midnight Oil, all these other great songs. It would kill me. So I would tell people at the Art Institute about it, and they looked at me as if I was like 3/4 Martian. They're like, oh, the new Boston's album. I'm like, it's the same bloated stuff. If you want Boston, get the first album. But so I'm just such a snob. It's just I would get like, I'm like Squeeze. I love Squeeze, but I couldn't find anybody else who liked Squeeze. And it was just so I just thumb my nose to it. But so that's sort of what the attitude I had with Lady, And then the one character I have like character templates, I call them. It's like most of the main characters are based on actual people, but I'm not getting, I don't get sued. But the one character who's like the leader of the band is based on my cousin Sean, who's been in bands since the junior high, which is now middle school. And he is so knowledgeable. And so I decided, he's been playing in bands all these years, and I just pick his brain, and he knows everything. He can break down like bass lines and just timing and stuff like that. So he's sort of my go-to guy when it comes to when I have to do dialogue for a bunch of stuff I don't know.
Yeah.
I never played an instrument.
So growing up in Pittsburgh, I'm going to have to assume you're a Steelers fan.
Yeah. Oh my God, the '70s. Oh my God.
Well, you're right. They did have that good run.
Yeah,
and,
dynasty.
So Dennis is a Packers fan. Don't hate him too much.
I'll forgive him.
And we all know that America's team is mine, the Cowboys. So
that's you and Hank Hill. So yeah.
I actually get that reference. I feel like Captain America in the Avengers. I get that reference. I actually get that reference.
King of the Hill is like the best. It is like the best sitcom because you learn. It's like they should show it in civics class because they show you like bureaucracy, in your town, but they make it entertaining at the same time.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I would show that in a civics class every day because you learn.
So are you diehard Steelers? Like you'll watch them every season and stuff, or?
I used to, and then after the '70s, then Terry Bradshaw resigned. They were awful in the '80s, and they only started getting better in the early '90s with Ben Roethlisberger. But I wasn't into it anymore, and my mom. Everybody in Pittsburgh loves the Steelers. Everybody at Christmas time. I don't know if you remember, was it Donnie Bracco or something, or one of those movies with Johnny Depp, and it was Al Pacino. In Christmas time, their gifts to each other were like a bunch of hundreds in a envelope. That was their presents. But Pittsburgh, everyone ends up getting Steeler merch and Steeler shirts and sweaters for we exchange at Christmas. It's just so wacky, but that's just how it is. And there's a ton of bootleg shit that they sell down the Strip District, and but it's like nobody cares. I don't care either. Apparently the Steelers don't mind either. But so I got into it because my mom, when I'd spent time with my mom and dad, my mom really got back into the Steelers were doing good, and so I would enjoy watching it through her eyes, and then eventually I started watching more so, only because even when Steelers had a shitty season, I would watch it so I'd have something to talk to my mom about, because we don't have common interests really, it's just a whole different thing. Not that I'm saying it's bad, it's just, it just made me connect with my mom a little more, so and my mom and my dad. But
so last question. Mm-hmm. Because I've got a fan of both in here,
and Randy just asked
if you had to pick just one, Star Trek or Star Wars.
Star Trek. You
are.
You know what? It killed me. Phantom Menace was the biggest piece of shit ever, and I will go to my grave saying that. And there's a lot of apologists for it, and I'm like, no. It's like it's so awful because, in fact, me and Dusty Abel talked about it. He says he was disappointed because the first three movies weren't juvenile, and that's what Phantom Menace was, and little Darth Vader going yippee after he blows up some ships with his ship. It was just painful, and it really knocked me out of my interest there. But those first three movies, they're not Episode 4. It's fuck you. They're Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi.
Oh yeah.
So, but
you know what I'm in the middle of watching right now.
Wait, hold on before you say it.
Oh,
what's your favorite Star Trek movie?
Oh, Wrath of Khan, of course.
All right.
You mean old school, or you mean J.J. Abrams?
Yeah.
Old school.
Old school.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Wrath of Khan, man. I could watch that forever. I've never seen the first one.
Tonight on Graham Nolan's channel, Graham and Aaron Lepresti are going to talk about Star Trek stuff because they're both big Star Trek fans too.
Mm-hmm.
And Graham apparently thinks the first movie is the best, and Aaron goes with Wrath of Khan. So
the first one was like a bloated bunch of. I mean,
It was a bloated episode.
yeah. Well,
Right,
I mean, I
it was
like
a 2-hour movie that should have been a 48-minute episode.
that. Yeah, that's how I felt. It was just this big bloated mess, you know.
It's all special effects, and it's pretty much like Rings of Power. You know, it's overbloated, and you're there just to see a little bit of scenery.
Yeah, well, and also, I mean, the later shows, like the later spinoffs of Star Trek, you know, they were pretty good. So it's like the brand kept going pretty well, you know, on and off. But I mean, the new stuff I hear is total dreck, you know.
Yeah, trust me, I watched it, I review it, and but I got Star Trek 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 now just arrived because it just came out with director's cuts on for 1, 2, and 6. And all in 4K. And it is amazing. I thought for sure it was just going to be upscaling. And I'm like, oh my God. We just watched Wrath of Khan 2 nights ago. And then last night we did Star Trek 3 and then 4. It is absolutely stunning, this in 4K. You've never seen any. Even my wife's like, oh my God, I don't think I could ever go back to seeing it in Blu-ray or under again.
Is that the one? Is the 6th one with Picard and Kirk?
That's Generations.
Oh, I don't remember.
That's where Kirk actually dies. 6 is Undiscovered Country, where they have to.
Spoiler alert! Gee.
Well, if you haven't seen it by now, like E.T., then it's too bad for you.
E.T. sucks.
God, E.T. was a piece of shit. Oh, it's stupid. Everyone's saying a great movie.
Yeah.
I was like, this is moronic, you know. And
finally, you got him to agree on something.
I've never watched that movie all the way through.
You're not missing a thing. It's dumb.
Couldn't do it.
Okay, Gremlins?
I mean, I don't know. Who?
Did you ever see Gremlins? Did you like it? Nope.
No.
Nope. No. Goonies?
Nope.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that you're cut out of the same mold. Now I see where
we're cut out of the same mold. I've never seen them either because I have taste.
Oh,
yeah. The Rocketeer?
That's like the first comic book adaptation that was spot on. It was perfect. And it had the misfortune coming out the same time as like Ghostbusters 2. There's a big, huge summer, so it just got lost. And that just kills me because that was the best. Because they did all this stuff Dave Stevens did, like the Dog Cafe and all that, Bulldog.
Oh, yeah, dude. I love that Dog Cafe.
All right.
And it's like, they did that. Yeah, Cliff Secord, he looked like him.
Favorite comic book?
Oh, gosh. I got to think about that. Oh, Iron Man. Yeah.
You're an Iron Man guy. Okay.
He was my first, when I was back in 1974, that was like a magic year for me because when I came back from my grandparents' house, I started getting comics up the road. I mean, I was in a place where there were like 6 or 7 areas to get comics, drugstore, National Record Mart, all that stuff. So it was, it was great. So, but Iron Man was the first character I really took a liking to. And then later, George Tuska, and even Vinnie Coletta did pretty good on it. At the time, Tuska wasn't doing a lot of background, so it wasn't really much for Vinnie to erase. But they were the first I ever.
I posted it on Facebook, and I'm pretty sure you commented on it, a while ago. Yeah. This great splash page of Iron Man just in his armor standing there, drawn by George and inked by Vinnie.
Yeah, it was the Vietnam story, and
I think so. I thought, I was talking to Jim Shooter at a convention, and we were talking about Vinnie Coletta, and he agreed. He goes, Vinnie got a bad rap because of background stuff like that.
Yeah,
but the thing is, what Jim said is, he goes, what most people didn't understand was he would take these jobs that we needed to have done quick, and we would tell him, you need to get it done, so do what you have to do. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't the standpoint of Vinnie being lazy. It was us being, do what you have to do to get the job done and make it look good. So,
we're probably blaspheming in the comics industry right now. But and also, there's one issue of Avengers where they had the old cowboys from the Old West, and Thor and Moondragon were there, and Two Gun Kid and all that. That was done by Perez. That was the second issue of Avengers.
Oh yeah,
and inked by Vinnie Coletta, and it just gave such a great Western feel to it.
Yeah.
That's
that's what I would always say about Thor and Fantastic Four is Vinny was perfect to ink Jack Kirby on Thor because it was organic, it needed that texture. Yeah. Whereas on Fantastic Four, Joe Sinnott was perfect because it was all slick and tech and sharp and clean.
Yeah,
you know?
Oh yeah, I mean also Vinny kind of gave it like an otherworldliness, the way he, it was very different. It was it was great stuff. So, like I said, we're probably blaspheming right now. Yep. Avengers 142 actually. Randy's asking. Okay. Yeah. So I know so much. Yeah, it's like, when I'm old, I won't remember my wife's name, but I'll remember who inked like Gene Colan in Daredevil 33, which was John Tartaglione. And
that's right.
Yeah,
that's why you got to start that.
Andy's there right now. He doesn't remember anybody's name or anything unless it's who drew and inked it.
Yeah.
Listen here, Bob. I know exactly.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we're going to wrap it up. I want to thank Drew for joining us today and chatting. It was fun.
I had a great time. I really appreciate it. So
his link is in the description below. It's also right here if you want to check out his books. You can go check it out at this link. Thank you for posting that, Randy. And it is in the description below. They're fun reads, so go check those out. They're definitely not the big Steven Spielberg books that'll weigh you down.
Yeah.
So
it's good. I had a friend who read it in the weekend, like an old friend of mine, and Mike Barron actually gave it a great review on Amazon, and he was always a big influence on me. So mutual friend. Yeah. So I know what I'm doing finally. It just took 5 years at least. It's been great, and I'm really looking forward to Kor-Drath. Is that the name, right?
Kor-Drath.
Yeah, that looks awesome. I'm so I'm stoked. I'll definitely get it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Drew, hang back. I want to remove you, and we're going to wrap it up, and then we'll talk off stream for a bit.
Make sure everybody signs up. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you hit the like button. It always helps the algorithm. Sign up. Hit the subscription button on both the Dennis and Andy channel as well as the Andy Smith Art, so you get both of us. And and then we will also be having a guest next week. If you enjoyed a little bit of Star Trek versus Star Wars, we've got a guest next week, Andy, and who is it?
Anna, that Star Wars girl, is coming on the show next week to chat with us. Star Trek, Star Wars chat.
Oh, this ought to be fun.
It should be, because Dennis is totally in the know on all that stuff. So it should be entertaining. She'll be a great guest. So join us next week. Go sign up for Kor-Drath.
We were only 9 away from hitting 1,000.
That's right.
On the sign up before we started. So yes, get that and sign up for it, because we're really close to launching.
That's right. Launching on Monday. So sign up for Kor-Drath now, so you know when it launches. And of course, we're going to end with the trailer. We'll catch you guys next week. Bye-bye, everybody.